You're listening to Empowered to Lead, the therapist practice. I'm Lisa Catello, therapist, business coach, and your go-to for all things leadership and sustainable practice growth. This is your space for real talk, smart strategies, and grounded support to help you lead with confidence, work with intention, and build a business that actually works for you. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Empowered to Lead podcast. I'm so glad that you have been listening in and joining us today. We are going to be following up on the episode where I had a chat with Marissa Little. One of the things that brought up is quite common for people, for therapists who are considering starting a group practice, or they've been doing this for a little while and really getting tired of doing it alone. And so they're wondering, do I need a business partner? So today we're going to talk about what it would be, what you want to consider as you think about, is bringing on a partner the best thing for me? And what would that look like in whether you're doing that or bringing on a leadership team, getting some support around you? I think Marissa used the term a village of support. And so we're going to explore that a bit today. When I started my first group practice, I knew that I wanted to have a group practice. I had a vision for what that was going to look like. I knew that I wanted 2 or 3 locations, that I wanted contractors, that I wanted a team around us that focused in on trauma. And yet, when I got started, I got a little scared. And I had a friend reach out and she was like, hey, I saw that you're looking for some space here. Why don't you go look at this place? And then the conversation evolved so that we're like, hey, let's do this together. It should be easier or better to do this with 2 people rather than 1. And we dove in. And I remember sitting in the lawyer's office and the lawyer was asking, so how is the split going to happen? What's it going to look like, both for time and energy and for finances? And I sat there and said, well, it's going to be 50-50. Obviously, we've contributed 50% financially, and the way we've talked is going to be, but inside, I knew I was already doing more than she was. We had agreed on that. That wasn't something that I was just internally commiserating on with myself. But I wasn't fully honest with myself or the lawyer or even my partner to say, I'm not sure how this is going to work out. What if this changes? What if I am doing more? How should that look? And so I find that is something that happens a lot with people who are considering bringing on a partner, both in the ones that change their minds and those that succeed. Because if you are very clear about, this is what I want from a partner, this is how I want this to look, these are the lanes that we're going to be in, and this is what compensation, what time, what all of that looks like, you can set yourself up for success. But do you need a partner? One of the things I think Marissa really created or articulated was that she built a village around her rather than taking on a partner. So you want to explore, what is it about partnership? What is it about bringing somebody on that we think we need, that's going to fulfill us, or that's going to cover some of the holes that we have? Why do you think you need a partner? Let's start with that. So some of the common reasons why therapists consider bringing on a partner, you have a lack of confidence. Can I do this? I haven't done a group practice before. I'm not sure where to start. Sometimes it's overwhelm. I've started a group practice and now everything's on my shoulders. I really wish that I had somebody there. Sometimes you really want to share the decision making. You don't want to be the one where the buck stops here, or like, are we going to expand? What's that going to look like? So really slow down and consider your why. There was another person, as my first group practice wrapped up, this person approached me and said, hey, I know you're starting a new group practice. I'm starting one too. Why don't we join? And as we slowed down and talked about this, I was really curious with them. Why do you think you need me? You have a lot of skills. You have a vision. You know exactly where you're wanting to go. And so we really explored that because it wasn't actually in line with who I am or what the giftings that I had to bring to the table. I mean, we could have worked well together. I still think we could have succeeded quite well. But as they explored that, they identified that it was because they were nervous to do this on their own. They weren't entirely sure what the next steps were. And so they actually ended up bringing on a business coach. It wasn't me, but they got guidance that way. And they have had a few different coaches in between to walk them through the different stages of ownership. And we get together on a regular basis, and they told me they're quite happy that we didn't go into partnership. And that it showed a misaligned vision with us. And these are things to consider also for you as you were thinking about bringing someone on. What are some of the risks of partnership? So like I just said, there can be a misaligned vision. I want to go this way, you want to go that way. I want a small group, you want a large one. Sometimes it can be difficult, even though it sounds really awesome to share decisions. Sometimes it can be hard to make decisions with somebody else. I really wanted to promote our business in a certain way, and my business partner did not. And so we had to have discussions about what are we doing here? What are we trying to promote? How does that fit with our overall vision, and work through that? And sometimes you just want to make the decision. So there's another thing. Some people are very quick decision makers, and then others need to consider all the things and take a month or two before they make a decision. So if you're considering a partner, make sure you talk through that, and also know of yourself. If you are somebody that once you know what you want to do, you're going to make that decision. Do you want to share that with somebody else? It's also kind of like a marriage. When you enter into a partnership, you're signing documentation, you are getting a partnership agreement, you're putting your name on a lease or on a business name. It's like a marriage, and it's very hard to exit easily. And I will say for me, this part really rings true. It felt like a divorce when our partnership ended, because we had started something, we were, excited to be in partnership. And then there's a rendering that happens, kind of a ripping apart. And so one tip that I would have, if you do end up in a business partnership, when everything's going really well, spell out how that would be to end. That's a little sidetrack there. And also you may have different energy levels. And you may also have different business focus, which comes in with the energy level. So maybe one of you really loves the business side, don't really want to do so much client work, and one of you really loves the client work and don't really want to do the business. You're maybe misaligning with each other. And also you may align. So I'm talking about the risks here. Partnership can be very positive for some people. It has been a really positive experience for Lucinda Bibbs and Stephanie Iverson, who I have recorded an episode that's coming up. They share some of their insights into what made it work for them as a business partner. I know a few people, they really defined what's your lane, what's my lane. We're on the same page. We've got similar personalities, similar stage of life, and it's worked really well. So let's slow down. As with anything in business, I'd really encourage you to do just that. Slow down and think, why do I want a partner? What am I looking for? How would it feel to share finances, dreams, responsibilities, accolades, struggles? What would that look like? And so as you consider that, what if you don't need a partner? What if what you really want is a leadership team? So how can you build a village of support around you that emulates a business partner, but still leaves the primary decision-making and vision casting and all the things that come with being a group practice owner, still leaves it in your plate and your guidance? let's talk about who that might be in your village of support. So you might have a clinic manager. Let's actually back that up a little bit. If you haven't even gotten any kind of support on the table yet, that might start with an intake coordinator. And once you see, oh my goodness, they can take over some of these daily operations, they can make it so that I can work on the business rather than in it, let's add administrative staff. And then you might expand up to, okay, so now I want a clinic manager because I don't want to worry about the EHR or how we're tracking where our clients are coming. I don't want to manage the financial side of things like with invoicing and stuff like that. So is that the right role for me? I know with my admin support, I call her my Melissa, she really grew into a role where she took over. We called her a business operations manager. And so she became a bit of a right-hand person and really freed me up so that I could focus on leadership in our group. You can join peer masterminds or get a business coach. Like I said, that other group practice owner that I talked to, finding a safe space to process your ideas and determine how you want to move forward before you bring them to your team. Getting input from people who get it and maybe have gone a little bit before you so that they can help you as you make those decisions. Get professional advisors. Have a lawyer, have an accountant, have a bookkeeper, maybe an HR consultant. This all gives you clarity on the business side so that you don't have to carry it all. You typically have not had bookkeeping experience. You weren't trained as an accountant. And so to have people come alongside you that have those giftings, those strengths, those occupations can again come back to help you work on the business rather than in it. So as you think about a leadership team, some of the concepts that I really like come from the book Traction by Gino Wickman. You're going to hear me talk about that quite often in these podcast episodes. One of the things that really stands out is right people, right seats. And so as you think about who you want to bring on, don't just promote someone to be your clinical director without actually considering, is this the right person for the job? Is this the right seat for them? Maybe they're showing some leadership skills, but it's not in clinical supervision or overseeing your clinical team. Are you tweaking what you're actually looking for in order to fit them? I did this once. There's so many things that you can learn from the way that I had to have a learning experience. I did this once. I put somebody into a leadership role that it wasn't actually the best fit for them. I really needed support at that time. I was going through a lot. I was hoping that this person could provide some support, and it wasn't the right seat for that person. It actually created strain because I was looking for them to be someone that they weren't. So consider that. Is this the right person, right seat? You also want to consider what is the function. So before you even come up with clinical director, because you're in a group, mental health group practice and everybody says a clinical director is the next step, get rid of that. Put that aside. Start with, what do I want them to do? Really, what is the function of the role that I am looking for someone to fill? And so every practice has essential functions that need someone to own them. We have clinical oversight, we have operations and administration, we have intake, we've got marketing, finance team. And if you slow down and really look at what is it that I need to help me with this business, you actually might be surprised that you think you need somebody like a clinical director, but as you're looking through what you're wanting somebody to do, it's actually more admin. And that is another lesson that I had. I had this person in a clinical director role, and I actually realized the tension that was coming between us is I actually wanted more admin support. And so when Melissa stepped into that role, it was so much better for both of us because that's actually what I needed the support in. And so learn from me, don't hire someone and then learn that lesson. Sit with it and really consider, what is the function that I'm looking for them to fulfill? And then consider who already owns some of these functions in your practice. Maybe there's somebody who just loves doing reels and has so many ideas for social media. Can you use them in there? Maybe somebody has, they have a gifting for administration and they're a therapist, but they really want to use a different part of their brain in order to feel fulfilled. Can you be creative with somebody like that? So start with the function. What are you trying to get them to fill? And then go to a title. And then consider who could actually be in that spot. And I would also encourage you to notice which areas you are carrying alone. These are often the areas where adding leadership support can free up your time and really help your business grow. What are some questions to consider? Who shapes your practice now? I want you to think on these things. And before you even dig into titles, functions, what is it that I want them to be? Consider some of these questions. What kind of leader do you want to be for your team? That's a big question, because when we get through the busyness and the hecticness and the responsibility of being a group practice owner, a lot of times we lose sight of who am I wanting to be. And so as you start to notice, who do I want to be as a leader? Oh, okay, so these things are holding me back from there. Another question to consider: where are you carrying the weight alone? So the responsibility, the buck stops on you, but can you find somebody to help carry some of that load? Also, I want you to consider that your leadership team isn't just about skills. Think about who you wouldn't want in these roles. People whose values don't align with you, who are more likely to be yes people, or might drain your energy instead of building into it, even though everyone around you might be saying, oh, this person is really great, but you notice a tension. Write down also, who do you not want to be, or what kind of person do you not want to be on there? And then you come down to choose your hard. In Marissa's podcast, she said something that I thought was so wise. And I think we hear this often, but actually hear it. It's hard to do this alone, and it's hard to do it with someone. This role of being a group practice owner can be hard. Choose your hard. So have a voice in this. Don't just follow blindly and do what everybody else around you is doing. Do what works for you. Find the role that really supports you. Partnership isn't the only way to get support. Having a leadership team isn't the only way to do it. Really look at who can add to your village of support. Who do you need in your corner in order to help you succeed as a group practice owner? You want to make this business work for you. With the right systems and leadership roles, you can stay the sole owner while still building a strong team around you. With the right clarity and structure and discussions, you can bring on a business partner. So I'm going to encourage you now. Here's your leadership prompt for this week's episode. And I'm going to encourage you to take 10 minutes this week and map out all of the functions in your practice, whether that's clinical oversight, operations, finance, intake, marketing, team development. Which ones are you carrying alone? And who could join your village to help? I would love to hear your reflections as you consider that question. Send me an email or join us in the Group Practice Connection community. That's where we really process a lot of these things. And when you're looking for people to be in your village of support, that is the place to do it. That's what we're there for. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope that you get a little bit of an understanding or clarity around whether you want a business partner or if you want a village. I look forward to hearing from you, and tune in again next week. Thanks for hanging out with me on Empowered to Lead, the therapist practice. I hope you're walking away with something that you can put into action, because leadership isn't about doing more, it's about leading with purpose. If you're ready for deeper support, I'd love to see you inside the Group Practice Connection, my monthly membership where Canadian therapists like you get coaching, community, and the tools to build a business that actually supports your life. You can check it out at grouppracticenetwork.ca. The link's in the show notes. And hey, don't forget to hit follow so you don't miss what's coming next. We're building something great here, and I'm so glad you're a part of it.